Have you ever been in a situation where someone comes to you with a problem, you give them what you think is solid, actionable advice, and they either ignore it or get upset with you? Frustrating and confusing, right? Well, here's the thing. Nobody actually wants your advice. Even when they ask for advice, most of the time, people are not really coming to you looking for a solution. What they're seeking is something much deeper: validation. Hi, I'm Mark, and on this channel, we explore simple, actionable strategies to help us all become a little bit better each day. I appreciate you being here, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Today, we're talking about why people don't really want advice, but something else instead. Let's dive in. When people ask for advice, they're rarely saying, "Please, fix my problem for me." What they're actually saying is something along the lines of, "I feel stuck and I need someone to listen," or "I need reassurance that I'm not crazy for feeling this way," or "I just want to walk through this and see where I land." Think about it. Have you ever vented to someone about a bad day, for example, and they immediately started telling you what you should do? How did that make you feel? Annoyed? Frustrated? Like they missed the point entirely? They weren't listening to you, but just waiting for their turn to talk? That's because most of the time, advice isn't what we want or need. We just want to feel understood. Here's why giving advice, especially unsolicited advice, often backfires. First, it can feel condescending. Even if you mean well, it can come across like, "I know better than you. Here's what you should do." Secondly, it can make people feel judged. They hear your advice as, "Why haven't you already figured this out for yourself?" And third, it skips over what they really need: connection and empathy. Let me give you a quick example. A friend once told me that they hated their job and didn't know what to do. Immediately, I jumped in with a bunch of advice. "Well, you should update your resume, look for another job, quit that place." They just looked at me and said, I'm not really ready for all that. I just needed to vent." Well, that's when it hit me. I wasn't actually helping them. I was trying to fix something that wasn't mine to fix. What do people really want when they ask for advice? Most of the time, they need three things. Validation. They just want to hear, "I get why you're feeling this way." Empathy. They need someone to step into their shoes and just be with them in their struggle. And three, space to process. They're often capable of finding their own solutions. They just need a sounding board to help them get there. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where you're tempted to jump in and offer advice, instead of jumping in with solutions, try this. Say, "That sounds tough. How are you feeling about it?" Or, "I can see why you feel that way. What do you think you'll do?" Or, "I get why you're upset. What do you think your options are?" Those kind of responses show that you're really listening. And here's another thing. When people feel validated and understood, they're much more likely to actually ask for and be open to your advice later. If this video is resonating with you, please drop a like or a comment or share it with someone that you think could benefit from hearing it. All those things really help the channel. I'm not saying that you should never offer advice. There are definitely times when that's appropriate, like when someone specifically says, "I don't know what to do, can you help me?" Or when you have expertise that's directly relevant to their situation or their problem. But even then, how you give that advice matters. Instead of saying, hey, here's what you need to do, try framing it as more of a suggestion rather than a command. Have you thought about this as an option? Here's something that worked for me. Maybe it could work for you too. The goal isn't to take over their decision making. It's to empower them to find their own path forward. The next time someone comes to you with a problem, pause before jumping straight into advice mode. Ask yourself, what do they really need from me right now? By giving them the gift of validation and empathy, you might just help them more than any advice ever could.